Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, what's your favorite flavor of Gooigi?
Pineapple.
Black raspberry for me. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including everything that we missed while we were at E3, and then come back on Thursday because we are going to be determining which Nintendo characters should lose their jobs.
That's right. Their fates are in our hands.
Yes. People will get a pink slip based on what we decide on Thursday's episode.
I mean, typical of our lives. Right, Patrick?
That's right. Also, Mark, I'm not going to ask you how you are because you've already started talking. And two, I want to get into the topic.
I forgot that was a feature of this show.
I normally say. But
I
first,
totally
Mark,
forgot.
How you doing?
Tell you why I'm excited. I'm doing great, by the way.
I just explicitly didn't ask. I was just telling you what normally happens.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm doing so good.
Please.
Last week when we were at E3, we were at the Nintendo booth, waiting in line to play Link's Awakening, and the Nintendo Minute people were like filming some stuff up in the press area of the booth. We
tried pretty hard to remember their names.
Exactly.
I said, I think her name's Krissa. I don't know if that's right.
His name's Kit, I'm pretty sure.
Kit and Krissa?
Great news.
Yeah.
You can see us.
No.
Yes. I mean, we're very tiny.
Uh-huh.
But you can see us. And I look so much like Waldo from Where's Waldo? So if somebody can spot us, because I was able to find us.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So just look for the two most impatient people in that line. Because if, I don't know, we talked about this on Thursday, but we were running dangerously close to missing our Final Fantasy VII
look
appointment.
for the tall, lanky guy who's sweating profusely, checking a watch he doesn't own.
Yeah, and then look for the other tall, lanky guy sweating profusely, checking a watch he doesn't own, and you will have found the two of us.
But we're there.
I honestly don't know if you were describing yourself or me.
You'll never know.
That's right. The thing that I wanted to talk about was flavors very briefly.
Oh.
My favorite flavor of Jelly Belly Jelly Bean is Juicy Pear. Great. And I should have said Juicy Pear.
Oh, so but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that Gooigi, as we'll get into,
yes,
is not a Jelly Belly.
No, it is more of like a gummy bear.
Right.
He's more of a gummy consistency.
So, is your favorite flavor of gummy bear also Juicy Pear?
I don't think Juicy Pear is, I don't know that I've encountered a Juicy Pear flavored gummy bear.
Well, then I'm going to go ahead and say it's a good thing you didn't say that because it wouldn't scan necessarily.
It's thematically wrong.
Here's another thing that's just thematically wrong.
Yeah.
Sonic Forces.
That's right. Actually, the game has a very I don't want to get into it. You want to play my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch? All you got to do is email us with a mailing address, and I send it to you. So email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. You get my copy of Sonic Forces. You play it for as long as you want, and send it back after as long as
you care to.
That's you want would have been okay then too.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
It didn't need to be like a progressive thing.
Well, I didn't know if somebody was skipping this part already, and so they would think that there's an error in the track because we're just repeating ourselves. Repeating ourselves.
Yeah. So do that. Mark, we got a debug.
A small debug. I blame this on because these things are never my fault. So I blame this on the hype of the Breath of the Wild 2 reveal trailer.
That's right.
And in our Tuesday episode last week that we recorded right after we saw the Nintendo Direct, right after Nintendo had shown a trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, I was like, wow, isn't it crazy that they're down in some beneath Hyrule Castle and there's some princess, maybe a former Zelda, and you were like, what?
Yeah, I do recall saying, what are you talking about?
But then we totally just
blew past it.
We just blew past it. So, I mean, obviously Nintendo hasn't confirmed this, but every analysis video on the internet, and Patrick at the time was like, that is clearly Ganondorf.
Did I say that is clearly
No,
Ganondorf?
you didn't, but your what
I said it
a
with
lot.
I said it with my eyes.
Yes. Which, people listening at home.
It's hard to pick up on the mics. Okay, so that's Ganondorf. Kind of cool because we see no Ganondorf in the course of Breath of the Wild.
That's right.
That's a big component of Zelda mythology absent from Breath of the Wild.
I've got to say, I don't remember Ganondorf having such long flowing hair.
Well, I mean, he's been down in there I was going to say John Hughes, but that's not who I mean. The Aviator? Who am I talking about?
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes. John Hughes is not a famous recluse who grew out his hair and fingernails. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So I'm really close to finishing Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, how close?
I'm on the final chapter, right before the final chapter, where it's basically just the big end boss.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There's a lot of enemies with turrets that are turret guns that are just firing at me. I forgot how much this game kind of becomes a military shooter at some points.
Yes.
And there's actually just a lot about this game I forgot in general. It's been many years since I played it.
I think the beginning of the game is way more memorable than the end.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the beginning half is more memorable than the last half.
I agree with that. But there's still some good stuff in here. One part that I totally just completely forgot about was all the stuff with Krauser.
So I saw these names listed in our run of show here, and I was like, oh yeah, I sort of remember that. Is he an army guy?
Yeah, he's used to be Leon's partner.
Okay.
Maybe he's Russian. He calls him comrade all the time. I've got to admit, at this point in the story, I'm just skipping cutscenes left and right.
So not Russian, but
really care.
Soviet?
Yeah, yes.
Are you watching Chernobyl, by the way?
Too sad.
It got really good.
But anyways, this part is I completely forgot about it. You're outdoors a little bit, and then he attacks you, and you have to knife him to get him to go away. But it was just part of the game that I just totally blanked on, an entire subplot in the game that I just totally forgot about. There's also the boss fight that we were trying to remember the name of and again, I'm skipping cutscenes, so I'm not sure if he's a little person or if he's a child who's been possessed.
Yeah, the Napoleonic figure.
Yeah, so his name is Salazar, and there's his boss fight, spoilers for this game, which a little bit late, but Salazar, his fight, there's two giant tentacles.
Yes.
And then a
you're
third
on
tentacle
a balcony,
with an eye.
right?
Yeah, and I remember it being such a difficult fight.
Yeah.
But I have found the cheat for all boss fights in this game. Rocket launcher. For real, I've been like gathering treasure and making sure I always have one rocket launcher with me.
Yeah. Just fire one rocket at him.
The Salazar is like the tentacle with the eye. You have to like shoot the eye, and then after like 3 or 4 shots, like the eye tentacle like goes down, and Salazar is enclosed in this like rib cage type thing, and it like opens up, and yeah, one rocket launch to the face, and just like boom, he's gone. But that's pretty much the trick for every boss in this fight.
Yeah, and that's kind of Resident Evil standard, is that like if you want to, like, you'll get access to a rocket launcher at some point. Usually it's very late in the game, and that like that's the key to actually beating a boss or beating him quickly.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
one shot.
That is how Resident Evil 4 ends.
Yeah,
right. You like, I can't remember the name of the guy. It's not Wesker. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. It turns into this big like spider thing, and you. At the very end, after you've like taken him down a little bit, Ada Wong throws a rocket launcher down, and you pick that up, and like that's the final thing that you do. So it is definitely Resident Evil 4-y.
Yeah, well, and also just
Resident Evil
like that. That's how the first Resident Evil ends as well. You're running around a helicopter landing pad, and the tyrant is just like slowly walking around, and eventually the helicopter gets close enough to toss down a rocket launcher. You take it and you blast it.
I've really been enjoying this game so much. I think I've put about maybe 16 hours into it.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I've really been trying to like explore and be very methodical. Once I finish this, I'm gonna do the Separate Ways campaign, which I've never done before.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I know what that is.
I think it's I believe that it is something that premiered on the PlayStation 2 version of the game.
Yeah.
And it is just like what Ada Wong is. You play as Ada Wong. And it's like what is she is doing in like the parts of the story where you don't see her.
I like that a lot.
But also, I've been playing this game, and some of the areas in it, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do speed runs of this work?
Yeah.
And so I was watching a speed run of it. I think it was done in like GDQ 2018. I can't remember if it was summer or like the winter one.
Yeah.
But on professional, he plays the game in like an hour 30, and the trick is you just don't fight enemies. Like you just run through.
That's awesome.
Like there was one where I was like, how did they do this quickly? And the answer was they didn't bother trying to take out the enemies.
Right.
They just
open that next door.
Yeah.
I have been playing. I picked up the Collection of Mana, or the Mana Collection, whatever it's called. The that was announced during the Nintendo Direct. I picked it up that evening when we got back from E3, and I have been playing the Legend of Mana, aka Final Fantasy Adventure, which means that I have been spending a lot of time playing a Game Boy game on my Switch. I have yet to put it up on the TV. I've just been playing it all in handheld mode because that feels better for whatever reason, playing a Game Boy game. And the game holds up surprisingly well. Like, I'm shocked at how engaging it is for long stretches, and like how much I feel like I am like actually invested in the growth of my character. I mean, like, the story is super simple, but I'm able to follow it, which is not something I actually expect from a Game Boy RPG. Like, you know, I usually expect to have to like look up a bunch of stuff. Like, I have no idea what these characters are saying to each other. So I'll see where the internet says I should go. But this has been a totally non-look up experience, and I'm really enjoying it. And as such, have not really moved on to Secret of Mana or Trials of Mana yet. But I will probably skip over Secret to go to Trials once I'm done with Legends. Also, I think it's weird. That game is called Legend of Mana, but the Game Boy game that we got in the States is Final Fantasy Adventure, which is different from Final Fantasy Legend, which is the one that's like Saga. It's like a Saga Frontier game. There's just a lot of naming conventions going on here that are like crisscrossing in my mind, and I don't like it. And then Sarah and I this weekend have been replaying for, I don't know what number time, the Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, and we beat the Bowser boss, the final Bowser boss, and then, you know, there are a bunch of secret levels after it. But that last Bowser fight in Super Mario 3D World is on par with the festival in New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey, just in terms of like hype and spectacle. It does such a good job of like just being exciting and pulling in all these different aspects of the game to just be fun and awesome. And I think that that's something that I love in Mario games. Like, I love the platforming, I love like the moment to moment gameplay, but that they can also deliver this like, and now this just feels really cool moment. Like, it's so good.
I've only played a little bit of Super Mario 3D World at your house.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that that's a game that like gets announced in a September Direct for release in like January. Kind of to fill the spot that New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe filled this year.
Yeah. Well, and that's also the kind of thing that like, I think we need that, and not just the Super Mario 3D World assets in Mario Maker 2, because like, yeah, we'll be able to get all the, not all obviously because it's in 2D instead of like the sort of three-dimensional plane. You'll be able to get all the kinds of levels, but like not that Nintendo are designing to just be amazing, right?
Yeah, and it also just feels like it's the last big Nintendo first-party game on Wii U that hasn't made it to Switch, and I feel like it's going to be a little bit of time before we see an Odyssey 2 or whatever the next Super Mario game is. So it just, to me, it makes a lot of sense to bring that one over.
Yeah, it is also just so good. Like, I forget every time, whenever I'm not playing it, I forget that the game itself is incredible, and it always, like, it's got such a good like loop of like, I know I can do that better. Like, I know I can get in there and I can beat this level, and some of the challenges are absolutely insane. And like, I don't know that I play a video game that makes me laugh harder than Sarah and I playing this game together, where we're like singing along to the music or like getting in each other's way or just like laughing at the I don't know, the game is so funny, and like I just love it, and it's surprising to me every time how much I love it.
Also, Pikmin stands. I didn't forget about Pikmin 3.
No, you are omitting it on purpose. We'll play through Pikmin 3 at some point, right?
I'm sure it's coming to Switch.
All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
On Thursday, June 20th, Catan, the board game, is coming. Well, the Switch video game version
That's right.
of the board game.
It would be weird if we just started talking about new releases of board games, right? Why is this just called Catan and not
instead of Settlers of Catan?
Yeah.
Maybe they thought it's like sexier.
But like everyone knows it as Settlers of Catan.
Do they?
Great point.
And then also My Friend Pedro
Mm-hmm.
is released.
That was one of the games shown off in the Nindy Direct that we had Michael Delaney on to talk about back in March. And it looks like a stylish, crazy 2D like action game. Looks neat.
And then on Friday, June 21st, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is released on Switch.
Nitro Fueled. I always have room in my heart for a new kart racer. But
except Hello Kitty Cruisers for whatever reason.
I did not expressly say no to Hello Kitty Cruisers. Also, neither of us picked up the Sonic Racing game.
Or Garfield Racing.
Well, I mean, we also didn't pick up the Nicktoons Racer.
Or like...
and that has Ninja Turtles in it, Mark.
Or like Fruit Kart Racing. There was one where like it was old people. Yeah.
An old people kart racer?
Yeah.
So we're not going to pick up this game is what you're telling me. All right.
I have expressed previously, like, I don't feel anything about Crash Bandicoot. So...
You don't feel hatred. You don't feel sympathy for it.
Mm-mm.
You're just like...
It's like, that scene from
Mad
Men.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When he's in the elevator with Ginsberg.
Uh-huh.
And Ginsberg's like, I feel sorry for you. And Don goes, I don't think about you at all.
That's me and Crash.
God, I love it so much. All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today you have posed a question.
That's right. If we were tragic heroines in a romance, how would we die? I'm thinking specifically of Nicole Kidman's character in Moulin Rouge.
Okay. So if we were that character?
No. Not if we were
tuberculosis.
Her. I mean, look, consumption is the answer to 90% of this.
Right.
But what are the tragic circumstances in which we would die, right?
Okay, sure.
And so we're not Nicole Kidman's character from Moulin Rouge specifically,
right?
But we are that archetype.
We are a Kidman type.
Yes.
Okay. Geez, this is tough. I feel like I would wind up on a pirate ship at some point.
Yes.
And my.
Are you penniless, or are you secretly rich?
I'm secretly rich. Mm-hmm. And I'm being ferried across the sea to get to, my true love, and I'm being maybe not my true love, but to whom I am betrothed.
Yes,
right.
That's right, because your true love
ends
dead.
up being this pirate captain.
Yes, of course.
There we go. But we don't
very
know
much
that.
alive.
We don't know that at first. So I would guess that we get shipwrecked first of all. And so we're stranded on a desert island, and we have to start eating crew members in order to stay alive. And obviously, I'm a high value. I'm high value cargo for this pirate captain. So he makes sure that I always get a meal. And when they're like, "We should eat Patrick," that the captain's like, "No. We got to keep him alive." And then they get down to just like the last couple of people, and then they do decide to eat me.
Wait, I'm sorry, but you also have consumption.
Yes.
While all
Yes, of
this
course.
is happening, you're like coughing in blood into a handkerchief and like, but hiding it, keeping
That's
it hidden
right.
from people, so people don't feel bad for you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, I will be the first character in a movie who or a novel or whatever who coughs blood into a handkerchief and then doesn't die from whatever made me
No,
cough
'cause
up
the
that blood.
cannibalism gets you first.
That's right.
Wow, that's good. That's a twist.
What about you, Mark?
I think I'm like a Frankenstein's monster type creation.
Okay.
Where I've been cobbled together from, just like parts in a cemetery.
Well, let me ask you this:
please.
Is your lover also a Frankenstein-esque monster?
Yes.
Okay, so
of
you
course.
are a bride of, not bride. Well, whatever. Sure.
Yeah, sure. I am a bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
But here's the tragic part of it.
Yes.
Is all of like the body parts I was put together from, all those people died of consumption.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm born with
Impervious to consumption.
That's exactly.
It already killed you.
Yes. So I'm born.
It can't hurt you anymore.
I'm impervious to it. So the tragedy of it is that all the people that I know in life are dying of consumption, but I continue to soldier on.
Mark, is it a problem? Let me ask you this: Is it a problem that both you and I went immediately off genre?
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why.
Please.
Oh, we brought it back.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
yeah,
really,
yeah.
what we were doing is we were like playing with the tropes.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like we were being faithful to it, but we were also like tickling it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I get it.
Of course, you know what I mean.
So okay, in your case though, we just got to the tragedy is that you can't die of consumption.
Yeah, exactly. So like I've
You
already
do
been
have to die
dead.
somehow.
Yes.
Right.
So here's the thing: is people, because they don't understand
Right.
that I am immune to consumption, but just because I'm immune to it doesn't mean that I'm not a carrier. Right, because I'm
sure.
rotting,
Right.
and like I'm walking around people and they're
You're
breathing
probably
me
carrying a lot of diseases.
Yeah,
not
that's
just
right.
consumption.
That's right. I shouldn't just blame it on consumption.
Right.
And so
You're bringing back the Black Plague.
So people are getting like a little upset.
Mm-hmm.
They're not happy that I'm around, and I get that. Like I'm sympathetic because I'm, like I have
Frankenstein
empathy.
monster, yeah.
Right, exactly. And so the villagers get mad, and they like all get together, and they like burn the bride of Frankenstein. And I'm like, I think you mean the bride of Frankenstein's monster, but I'm saying that as they're like burning me. So
Right. And then someone just shoots you because they're like, "Oh, shut up with that Frankenstein's monster crap."
Exactly. I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank
So
you
you
for doing
start
the
to
accent.
burn.
Yes. Thank you for doing the accent because it's very important that this is all taking place
In the American
in
South.
the American Southwest.
I mean, honestly, why is there no American Frankenstein story? Like, let's do. Well, I guess we'll never know what we need to do. We were accompanied today by an unnamed ensemble at Hunter College, and I just wanted to point out that this video of 433 has only 46 views.
47.
That's right. We have now upped it by one. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Lots of news to catch up on.
That's right.
After E3 last week. Kotaku interviewed Kensuke Tanabe, the director of Luigi's Mansion 3. And Tanabe wanted a greater emphasis on boss fights in this game. He said that if it were up to him, all the boss fights in Dark of the Moon would be remade. Wow.
That's a lot of shade on the Dark of the Moon team.
Here's a fun fact. We keep saying it, so I think we should continue to do it. But the game is actually called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What is Dark of the Moon?
It is a Transformers movie.
That's right.
But you know what? We're in too deep.
Sure.
So we're going to continue to call it Dark of the Moon, but I just want everybody to know that that's not a debug.
Right.
It's like Pikmin 3.
That's right.
We're
And also
choosing to ignore it.
Also Luigi's Mansion 3 now is of course subtitled Revenge of the Fallen.
But yeah, okay, so I didn't play Dark of the Moon. So, but you played a little bit. So, what are like the boss fights in that? I know they got rid of the portrait ghosts, which was from the first game, which they made a big point of saying in the third game they brought that back.
I mean, honestly, I don't remember.
That
so
seems like a power
it
problem.
must have been not super memorable fights. So I like that they are saying, hey, that thing that wasn't very memorable, we should make them memorable.
Development started on the Wii U, but started for real after Metroid Prime Federation Forces was released.
Okay. A weird little marker in time. Does
Well, I
that?
guess like both those games were developed by Next Level Games.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Federation Force was developed by Next Level Games. So I guess it makes sense that maybe they like dabbled with it on Wii U. They started working on Federation Force, and then when that was done, they pivoted back to Luigi's Mansion 3.
That makes sense.
Luigi's Mansion 3 takes place on a continuous timeline with the other two games,
Which
meaning that
is
they're like
cool.
right after each other.
Well, I mean, it stands in contrast to the Super Mario games, which may as well all take place.
Sure, different
who
time
knows
streams,
or cares
whatever.
when,
Yeah.
right? And that this one is like Luigi has been through this twice.
So he's like battle hardened.
Absolutely,
He's less scared.
Yeah, he's still scared, but he is less scared.
Yeah, an important distinction. The game is not mission based, and Luigi will be able to roam freely around floors when he gets access to them.
Which is nice because Dark of the Moon was a little bit more like you accomplished something, then it kicked you back to like the lab with Professor Egad. Then you just had to like keep going back in. There's a lot of needless chit chat with him.
One of the cool things, did you have a chance to watch any of the Treehouse Live coverage for Luigi's Mansion 3?
No, I don't think so.
They talk about because like it's a hotel, and they said one of the reasons they chose a hotel was that it's easy to understand like the layout of the floors that way, because in a hotel, you know, like, oh, I'm in a room, so above me is another room.
Yeah.
And so they're doing little things where like water might be dripping from the ceiling of a room. And so you know that if you go one floor up to that same location, that it's going to be a room where like the bathroom is overflowing or something like that. The name Luigi's Mansion and the style of gameplay will always be synonymous. So you won't see like a Luigi's Mansion game that's a straight up platformer or something like that.
Right, and it also means that you're not going to see an entry in this series called Luigi's Hotel or Luigi's Ghost Ship, even though that's a good one.
That's a great idea. In an interview with Game Informer, Tanabe said that some more awesome things about Luigi's Mansion 3, like he thinks Gooigi is like a gummy bear, so you could probably eat him if you wanted to.
Yeah, his answer to this Kotaku question is pretty funny because he's like, everyone's asking me about can you eat Gooigi or what is Gooigi made of, and so he thinks it's like a gummy bear, not like a jelly bean.
He wants Luigi's appearance in games to rival Mario's.
Good luck.
And he also implied that it's more likely that Waluigi would team up with Wario than with Luigi, which I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, Mario doesn't team up with Wario.
He also joked about a Waluigi's Mansion game.
Yeah, but don't get your hopes up, internet. That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Waluigi is not the like fully formed character that Wario or Luigi or Mario is.
Right. He immediately becomes less funny if you have to spend like the whole game with him. Like if we just see, animated GIFs of him on Twitter, that's all we need.
Mm-hmm. Super Mario Maker 2 is getting a post-launch update to include the ability to play online with friends. This was something that they also announced, I believe, at Treehouse Live when they talked about Mario Maker 2 pretty briefly.
Yeah.
The game comes out in just a couple of weeks.
And pretty early, too. They may have even announced it while you and I were recording. But yeah, I mean, that's good news because that seemed like one of those things that like we didn't fully understand during the Mario Maker 2 Direct. And then as soon as we did understand where it's like, oh yeah, there is online play, but you can't play with friends. And we were like, what? And now we can. Hey, because look, we want to play games online with our friends. I don't think that's irrational.
No, I don't either. So it's nice to see they listened to feedback and decided to like prioritize that.
Yeah.
2 pieces of more good guy Nintendo news.
Mm-hmm.
Animal Crossing was delayed to March 2020, but that was partially because Nintendo did not want to impose longer days or crunch conditions on their workers.
Good on Nintendo.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Yeah, because look, Animal Crossing is going to be fun whenever it comes out. And if it comes out in March, that just increases the likelihood that I will still be playing when the summer rolls around, and I can catch some summer bugs.
Doug Bowser spoke to Forbes about the company's approach to in-game purchases and microtransactions, saying, quote, well, I'd step back and say first, pay mechanics have been part of gaming for quite some time. They have the ability to bring fun, different, and optional ways to play games and enjoy games. For us at Nintendo, we look at games and in-game mechanics differently. We have wide variety of options, and we really determine those based on the type of game or type of games we're building and the platform that we're building on. Most important for us is that the game is always fun and engaging, and that's critical. And so we'll continue to review how people are playing games. If we need to, from a mobile perspective, make adaptations, we can. The underlying importance is that they're fun and engaging. And thank you so much for being like the fourth grade teacher to my reading, where I'm like, adaptations.
There we go. Very good.
Job.
Sorry.
No, that was an earnest thank you. I need positive encouragement.
And this is good. I think.
I agree.
That and like anytime that we hear about like Nintendo and like microtransactions, it seems like they are aware that what they need to do is make sure that the experience is fun before it is profitable, because it won't be profitable if it is not fun. And I just like to hear that sort of thing reiterated by someone who is the president of Nintendo of America.
Yeah, definitely. Side note, per CNET.com, Nintendo's stock fell about 3.5% after the Direct on Tuesday, presumably on news about the Animal Crossing delay, and thus, like, Nintendo potentially having a thinner holiday release schedule than anticipated, which just goes to show
no good deed goes unpunished.
Exactly. Also, Nintendo, they didn't have like some big response to Google Stadia or Microsoft's big streaming plans, so
which is nothing that we could possibly expect of them, right? Like,
I mean, we're all just grateful that like the eShop works consistently.
Yeah, that's true.
Baby steps. Plus, we all know that Microsoft Game Pass is coming to Switch any day now.
It's gonna happen. Look, I am playing Battletoads on my Switch. I'm just going to.
Nintendo also shared a few more details about Animal Crossing New Horizons. We now know for sure it will support the Nintendo Switch Online app for voice chat.
Great.
It'll have touchscreen support.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because, of course, like the last few handheld games, they were all on the DS or 3DS, so you could control it with the touchscreen. It'll support amiibos, and they say cloud saves won't be available, quote, to avoid manipulating time.
So I'm not totally sure how the absence of cloud saves would keep you from manipulating time. If your save isn't on a cloud and is therefore only checking the date that you have on your Switch, it seems like it would be easier to manipulate time with just a local save.
I'm sorry. Cloud saves won't be available to. Yeah, I don't know.
I get how it discourages you from like giving away all of your things to like another player and then reloading your save from the cloud. I get that. It's the same thing as the Pokemon thing. But the time manipulation, and every outlet that has reported on this has said to avoid time manipulation, but I don't know why that works.
I have no idea either.
If you know, you can write to us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and explain it to me slowly.
Yeah.
Because right now, it sounds to me...
Really dumb it down.
Really dumb it down. Right now, to me, cloud saves would be a surefire way, if it was cloud saves only, a surefire way to prevent time manipulation.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And this is just a shot in the dark.
Shoot.
Is that maybe... Because, one of the ways that you earn bells in previous games is by, like, planting and harvesting very, like, specific and special... like fruit or items or like mushrooms or whatever. So I'm wondering if like you could keep restoring a cloud save to continue to harvest them, but then I guess like you would never be able to redeem them because you would just always be going back to the cloud save
unless you're somehow sending them. If you're doing it in your game and sending them to me, and I'm doing it in my game and sending them to you, but that is a way that like that item trading and like just like Pokemon trading where like, yeah, that does seem like something you don't want people to do. But in my mind, that is not time manipulation. Time manipulation is skipping ahead 7 days so that you can just have the fruits of whatever tree you planted, or skipping ahead to winter so you can, get the whatever Christmas things.
Yeah, this is why we need a listener to explain it to us like they were explaining it to a 4-year-old.
Yeah, really dumb it down.
Like, do it as like the most stupid you possibly can,
Yeah.
and then double
And
the
then,
stupidity.
right. However stupid you think is stupid enough, make it dumber. And then we'll understand.
Yeah, you're doing us a favor. Also, Mr. Rossetti has lost his job because the game has an autosave feature.
Right. So there will be no need to reset or save your game.
And look, it's a hard environment out there for somebody whose job it is to regulate game saves, because autosave is kind of just a standard feature nowadays.
It's true.
So he has a GoFundMe.
Yeah, he does. You can donate to it. He's really sick. So he needs those donations. This is what Mark.
Well, you don't know this because Mr. Rossetti is actually cobbled together from other. He's
interesting.
Mr. Rossetti's monster. People just always make that
they
mistake.
always just call him Mr. Rossetti. Not Dr. Rossetti's monster. This is why you and I will be talking about other Nintendo characters that should lose their job. Once one loses their job, it's a domino effect, right?
Sure, it's the canary in the coal mine.
Right. So we got a couple pink slips to hand out, and we will get to those on Thursday.
Also, a few more details-ish about the unnamed Breath of the Wild sequel. In an interview with Kotaku, I always get this wrong.
Eiji Aonuma.
Yeah, thank you. Dodged questions about whether or not Zelda or any other non-Link character was playable.
We saw Aonuma at E3.
We did, yeah. He was up on the second floor where Treehouse Live was being filmed, just kind of looking out, watching everybody in the Link's Awakening line,
surveying his kingdom like Mufasa on Pride Rock.
Exactly.
So he dodged questions about whether, because kind of the scuttlebutt now is the game co-op and can you play as Zelda? And he very specifically didn't answer the question.
Well, which they never do, and
of course,
she never turns out to be playable. But one of my favorite bits of speculation is that people were saying in the trailer Zelda has a haircut. She has very short hair. People were saying that the reason they did that is because with all of the animations that it would require if she was playable, if her hair was long, there'd be a lot of clipping, and this avoids that.
Great point.
So, definitive, put it in the book.
That's right. We busted it.
In an interview with IGN, he said he thought it was, quote, interesting that people were speculating that the game was co-op.
Him saying, look, it's interesting that everyone's saying that, kind of implies to me that it's possible that it is.
I don't know.
I mean, we don't need to read too much into this, but her hair is short.
Two more pieces of Aonuma Zelda insights from E3 interviews. He mentioned that Nintendo remakes and re-releases Zelda games so frequently because they're all so different in terms of art style and gameplay. Aonuma was also asked about porting Skyward Sword without motion controls, and he said that would be, quote, almost impossible.
It's very funny when this question is posed of him. He goes, so you just control it with buttons? That'd be almost impossible.
Also, the point he makes about the Zelda games are so different in terms of style and even substance and gameplay a lot of times. That was something that you pointed out, that while we were at E3, we were waiting in line for Link's Awakening, and it had all of those really cute, adorable, toy-like
the dioramas
compared to the very dark Breath of the Wild sequel trailer that we had just seen, and that they
same series getting new releases and both being showcased in the same Nintendo Direct, and one is the darkest, scariest, most twisted thing, and then the other one is this toy diorama Link on an island. It's crazy.
And I mean, I think it's just a testament to Nintendo that they're able to maintain both of those, and we're all yeah, it's all Zelda, and it's all right, and we're happy,
and
for
we
both
love
of them.
all of it. Yeah.
It's really remarkable. How do you say this character's name?
Dampé?
Dampé's presence in Link's Awakening in the dungeon creation portion of the game is because dungeon making is tricky and he's mysterious. Also, when asked if players would be able to share their dungeons online, he told Game Informer, quote, maybe another time I can present a little more for you.
So are we going to be able to share dungeons?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me too. Also, I think it's cute that they're making dungeons is hard, and he's mysterious, so that's the same, right?
I love Nintendo.
You just needed another character. It's okay to be I don't know, we liked him because he's got a big underbite.
We've talked in the past about how only Pokemon from the Galar Pokédex will be transferable to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. I'm not sure if we did talk about this because it broke during E3.
Oh, good point. Yeah, so maybe
we
have
did talk about it. We just didn't talk about it on mic.
Look, Mark and I spent a lot of time together last week.
And not all of our conversations are recorded for your benefit. We control the amount of this that we put out. Famitsu landed an interview with Junichi Masuda and Shigeru Omori that elaborated on this a little bit. Not only is it more labor intensive to render Pokemon in HD, there were concerns about balancing them all for gameplay. There's almost like 1,000 Pokemon at this point.
Yeah, it would be rough to have them all in the same, battle machine together.
They mentioned that this was evidently even tricky for Sun and Moon.
Yeah, which again, how many Pokemon end up being in Sun and Moon? Like 800? It's a lot.
Yeah. There's no guarantee that Sword and Shield will be updated in the future to add more Pokemon to the Galar Pokédex.
Great.
But in that spirit, they're hoping to highlight Pokemon not in the Galar Pokédex in future games.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Masuda said that he was interested in players being able to export Pokemon from Pokemon Home to future Pokemon spin-off games, which would be the first home bank integration for spin-off games.
Which is cool. That Pokemon Bank has been such a mainstay of the main series that it is cool to see that functionality being applied in the future, at any rate, to spin-off games is neat.
So neither you or me are like really big or dedicated Pokemon fans in the sense that we like have an entire Pokedex that we carry with us from game to game. So I am sympathetic to people, to like hardcore players who that is an integral part of the game.
Totally.
I also get it from their perspective. Like it is just a ton of Pokemon. They're on a self-imposed, admittedly, but like very tight schedule. Because when they launch a big like Pokemon Sword and Shield game, the game is just one tiny aspect of the whole machine.
Oh, totally.
Like there's a new anime, like all that kind of stuff.
Toys.
And this isn't the first time that Pokemon has done something like this. I think in one, I can't remember which ones it is.
Yeah.
But in one of the games, they did the same sort of thing where they didn't have all the Pokemon. And I think even if in Sword and Shield doesn't eventually get support for all of them, we know that down the line in, like 4 or 5 years, they're going to announce a new Pokemon game that is like one of the big features is it has all the Pokemon.
Yeah. And I mean, it's an important thing to remember too, that like every time they do a new generation, there's like 100 new Pokemon. So like the fact that the roster of these monsters just gets bigger and bigger. It seems like when a new Mortal Kombat game comes out, we're not like, okay, so there's all the Mortal Kombat games, or all the Mortal Kombat characters, plus a whole bunch of new ones. Like, we don't demand that everyone be in every single game, and that's got to be okay.
Yeah,
it's just got to be.
I mean, it's been so long since they've had to do another one of these like breaks.
Yeah.
That I think everybody has just become so used to the idea that there's a new Pokemon game, of course it's going to have like everybody in the Pokedex.
Yeah.
And some people were very upset about this. So I'm sure they are hearing the criticism, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is getting a special Dreamer edition that includes a 120-page hardcover art book,
which looks pretty smart. It's a good looking art book,
and you get it for only like $10 more.
Yeah.
It's listed at $69.99 on Best Buy and GameStop. But what I really wish we were getting was the European version of the Dreamer Edition. It includes an incredibly cool like Game Boy Steelbook case.
Yeah, I'm so jealous of this thing because the steel case looks like it's a Game Boy. It looks like it's a Game Boy playing Link's Awakening.
I mean, you could import it if you wanted to.
That's true.
Actually, I don't know if you could. It's probably sold out. Probably sold out like immediately.
Great point. Well, if anyone picked it up and wanted to just send it to me, I wouldn't argue.
I love this. The NPD top 5 best-selling games on Wii for 2018 are as follows.
Now, hold on. Just so that the premise of this is clear.
Yeah.
This is the NPD top 5 best-selling games on the Nintendo Wii. Not the Wii U, not the Switch, not the 3DS. The Wii for 2018 are as follows.
Number 1.
Yes.
Just Dance 2019.
Sure, that tracks.
Number 2. Just Dance 2018.
Yes.
Number 3. Just Dance 2017. Number 4, Just Dance 2016.
Yes.
And number 5, New Super Mario Brothers Wii. So if you want to know why Just Dance 2020 is coming to the Switch and the Wii,
That's why.
there you go.
Yep. Because it will knock New Super Mario Brothers Wii right out of there.
I love it. Speaking of platforms that are dead but not forgotten, Doug Bowser gave an interview to Time Magazine about the success of the Switch. The topic turned to the 3DS, and Bowser confirmed that Nintendo had no plans for new software on the 3DS this year, but the 3DS business is still doing well.
So good for them, I guess. This is consistent with what you and I have been saying for a while, right? That we're not going to get anything new on that machine probably ever again.
Yeah, I'm sure like Atlas or somebody will continue to publish.
I think
it's like done.
I think that was it.
I mean, you really don't after Persona Q2.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single 3DS game that's coming out.
Yeah, and if one shows up on our new releases list, we will talk about it.
Yeah,
because it's curiosity at this point.
Hey, we got a release date for Dr. Mario World.
Dr. Mario World is coming to iOS and Android on July 10th.
That's really soon. That's
Yeah.
like 2 weeks away or something. It's currently available to pre-order, which it's free, right? So I assume it just means like you can.
Yeah, I think it
add
actually
it to your
does
wish list or something.
download it onto your. I did it already.
Oh,
so the game is either waiting for me on my phone, and I'll be able to actually.
Oh wow! So it just like doesn't unlock or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool. It looks like a match 3 puzzler where you have an unlimited number of pills.
No, a limited number of pills.
Of course, a big difference.
Right. Unlimited number of pills would be like the normal Dr. Mario gameplay. This is each level. It'll say like you have 18 pills, and then you kind of like place them on the map to defeat the viruses.
It starts with 5 worlds, but they will add more in time. So what is a world in Dr. Mario World?
Great question. This is just part of the trailer. They said like we'll be starting with 5 worlds, and of course we will add more over time.
And just like the healthcare system in real life, diamonds are the premium currency.
That's
in
right.
The game.
Every time I go to Kaiser, I bring a bag of diamonds with me.
And new doctors with unique skills they will be available for purchase with coins or diamonds.
Right. So diamonds being the premium that you had to spend like human money on, and the coins being what you actually earn through the course of the game.
So it's Dr. Mario World, but Dr. Mario is only one of
many doctors
of a whole host.
There's a Toad doctor, there is a Luigi doctor, a Peach doctor, I think a Yoshi doctor, and I don't know if he's just an enemy, but there's definitely a Bowser doctor in here as well.
The next Tetris Maximus Cup has been announced for this coming weekend. It runs Friday, June 21st through Sunday, June 23rd. Points will be awarded the same way they were during the last 2 tournaments. But this time there's no like special theme or reward or anything for getting 100 points.
Yeah, last time if you got 100 points, you unlocked the
retro
Game
Boy.
Yeah.
Then 999 players with the highest point totals will again win 999 My Nintendo Gold coins.
Yes, so this is identical basically to the second Tetris Maximus Cup. It's a Tetris 99 tournament, so you know that I will be playing Tetris this weekend.
And finally, there's going to be just one more Splatfest in Splatoon 2 before support for the game is sunsetted.
Man, we've been reporting on these for as long as the game has been out.
Yeah, crazy.
Always tacking them on to the end of the news to be like, and finally.
It's the end of an era
Mm-hmm.
in more ways than one because the theme is order versus chaos.
I love it.
Marina represents order. Pearl represents chaos. I'm guessing this will influence the events of Splatoon 3.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of like how the final Splatfest in Splatoon 1 influenced the events of Splatoon 2. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Something? Oh, okay. The event runs from Thursday, July 18th to Sunday, July 21st, making it a full weekend of Splatfesting.
Which is great because the Splatfests have really just been running for a day, like for 24 hours. And usually when one of them comes up, I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. I would do that. And then I forget about it.
And it's like hard to jump in a little bit.
Yeah.
When it's just Saturday.
But this is Thursday to Sunday. I think we should make like an effort to actually like participate in this one.
I think so, for sure. I was going to say, like, listeners, tell us which team you're going to join.
I mean, everyone's going to be on Team Order, right? Because Marina.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to join that troll Pearl's team.
After the Splat... all previous versions of Shifty Station will be in rotation.
Which is super cool.
New gear will be available for participants.
Mm-hmm.
And after the Splatfest, version 5.0 of Splatoon 2 will be released, allowing players to host their own Splatfest with all 24 versions of Shifty Station.
Which is pretty cool. I like that, even though Splatfests, like, as a big I'm not even totally sure I know what it means for players to host their own Splatfests, but that's still pretty cool.
And again, this ends the new content for Splatoon 2, although the online service will continue to be supported, which feels crazy to me. One, that they've supported it for this long with continual updates of new stages and weapons and items and everything.
Yep.
But also, too, it really does feel a little bit like the end of an era.
Yeah, and the game has become so much bigger and so much richer than when it started. Yeah, I mean, now we can start the speculation about when and what Splatoon 3 is going to be.
I can't wait.
It's going to be so much fun, man. So we'll, talk more about Splatoon 3. Maybe we'll do an episode about it. Ooh, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I just came up with it now, and we'll do it later. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, share it somewhere. Print it out, and put it up on a bulletin board at your local coffee shop with a little pull tab on the bottom, and print out a link to the episode on that pull tab so someone can take it home and type that into their phone and listen to the episode. Or, on Twitter. On Twitter, I am at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nincart Society. You can also just check out our Facebook page, which is Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying buttered popcorn is a very popular Jelly Belly flavor as well. I don't think that's what Gooigi tastes like, though. And thanks for listening.
Campfire.